Have you ever just paused an anime and said, "Bro, why?" at your screen? Honestly, same. It's when a death just leaves you trolled and speechless. Today we're breaking down 13 such cursed anime deaths. Some of these will make you want to punch your screen, while some will just make you want to scream. And well, make sure to continue watching till the end because death number 5 and 11 are pure nightmare fuel. Starting with the first, there's Neji Hyuga's death. He takes a giant spiky 10-tails wood projectile to the chest while protecting Naruto and Hinata. I mean, why? You're telling me that Neji became a Jonin and spent years fighting his fate just to get bodied by a random flying tree branch? You'd think the Byakugan could see that attack coming, but nope. And by the way, the entire point of Neji's arc was fighting destiny by breaking free from the cursed mark and proving that the main branch doesn't control him, and yet he dies protecting the main branch. No disrespect to Hinata, but Neji getting skewered just so Hinata could finally hold Naruto's hand is crazy. Now, I know that many Naruto fanboys are still coping by saying things like, well, actually, it shows how he chose his fate this time. It's poetic. No, just stop. Neji was turned into a romance plot device so Hinata and Naruto could engage in some unprotected hand-holding. Let's be real, Neji deserved a legendary fight and a heroic moment like Jiraiya. Next is Chelsea from Akame ga Kill and her lollipop death. That was unhinged. Bro, she could actually use her brain unlike most of the characters. She even managed to take out a major villain with almost no collateral damage. But how does the author reward her for that? Jaegers catch her off guard once, off-screen most of the whole thing, and next thing you know, her severed head is riding through town on a stick like a lollipop. The sad part is how she was just starting to open up and show a little warmth. And the second we started thinking that she's her, the show hit us with this. Moving on to Kuina from One Piece. And it's crazy how a part of the fandom still doesn't believe that she's dead. She was introduced and killed off during Zoro's flashback back in the late 90s. It makes sense why some fans think that she survived and maybe Oda has a plan for her. I mean, this girl defeated Zoro 2001 times. On the other hand, he never won against her. And then she falls down the stairs and dies? This happened in a universe where people survived getting shot, stabbed, set on fire, and getting sliced in half. We start off with an emotional flashback about ambition and gender expectations, and then the follow-up is down these stairs. It just doesn't feel like One Piece. Number 4 is from Hunter x Hunter, and although unlike Kuina, the death fits the tone of the story, but it still doesn't make any sense. Hanzu, bro, that bee Pokemon girl. I hate how they did her so much. She never got the license, but she survived 2 hunter exams. But then in the Chimera Ant Saga, even though she tried to do the sensible thing by sending an SOS signal with her bees, she ended up getting riddled with bullets and off so unnecessarily and then eaten by that Chimera Ant. Togashi only brought her back into the story to kill her like that. I consulted my lawyer on this, and offing Banzu like that was definitely illegal. Next is Miki from Devilman Crybaby. I mean, this was the best girl in the show. Everybody loved her, and the show just spits all over our faces by making a mob brutally murder her. We're talking they chop her up and put her head on a pike to parade around. What's with authors loving the lollipop trope? Of course, you can argue it was meant to show how far humanity had fallen. But I'll never hear Devilman no Uta the same way again. And speaking of trauma, there's Nina Tucker from Fullmetal Alchemist. Yep, I went there. The moment that traumatized an entire generation of anime fans. This sweet little girl with her floppy dog and her little pigtails is just trying to draw with crayons when her dad cooks up the most unholy experiment in anime history. And for what, you may ask? Always about the money. My man turned his daughter and her dog into one talking chimera to keep his research grant. And there's no Deus Ex alchemy to bring her back, just that one scene where her barely conscious self says, "Nissan," in a voice that lives in your mind forever. Moving on to Araki trolling us. Muhammad Avdol from Stardust Crusaders had already had a fake-out death. Avdol apparently died. Joseph acted like he was dead. Polnareff blamed himself for Avdol's death, and we the viewers were 100% led to believe Avdol is gone. But then he appeared again like, LOL, I'm fine. Of course, it was all just to troll Polnareff and all of us. And then there's Avdol's actual death, and it's more sudden and unexpected than his fake-out death. And just as we're in the finale, Avdol, the Magician Red stand user, gets erased by Vanilla Ice. Why bring him back if you're just gonna yeet him again without even letting him flex in the final battle? Myself as a JoJo fan was so pressed about this one. Some JoJo deaths are very peak though, but a certain death from Code Geass was not peak. Shirley was genuinely such a lovely character in Code Geass. She lost her dad, got her memories erased, got them back, and started to realize that Lelouch is the one who killed her father. Still love that dude anyway. And just when you think maybe she'll get a break, CIA agent Rollo shoots her in the gut. Let me remind you that it was because Rollo felt jealous that Shirley was getting too close to his pretend brother. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Her death was just unnecessary. I guess the studio agrees because she doesn't die in the movies that retell the story. And since we're on the topic of girls who had no idea what kind of anime they were in, there's Kana Karushima from Parasite the Maxim. Kana thought she was in a shoujo romance, but nope, she was in a horror thriller, and her death is a classic case of too dumb to live horror trope. She had this psychic connection with Shinichi because she could just sense him, but it wasn't Shinichi she could sense, it was the parasite. And honestly, we all knew that was a death flag. Fortunately, Shinichi warns her, but she straight up ignores all warnings and runs off alone thinking it's Shinichi. It turns out to be a parasite who skewers her through the chest. To be fair, I don't think this death is bad considering how it leads to Shinichi crying, which is a powerful moment in the story. But come on, did they really have to make her so dumb? I mean, she was kinda the third wheel. Morono was already the main girl. Next, Umbrella Girl from Another. If you've seen Another, you know exactly who we mean here. Homegirl is just rushing down the stairs during a thunderstorm when she trips and ends up impaled through the neck by her own umbrella as she lands. Kuina, is that you? And now let's talk about the one death that crossed the line. It's Lucy's puppy from Elfen Lied. Yep, I can excuse killing anime people, but a puppy is where I draw the line. Little Lucy's only friend was a stray dog. She took care of it, fed it, talked to it like it was the only good thing in her life, and then the neighborhood kids literally beat the puppy to death with a flower pot right in front of her. See, this is why it makes perfect sense why she turned into a telekinetic murder machine. Plus, it's the ultimate emotional manipulation, isn't it? Because nothing makes an audience gasp louder than offing a cute puppy on screen. Now let's talk about Midnight from My Hero Academia. Deaths are My Hero Academia's weak spot, but this one just blindsided me. Midnight, the R-rated hero we all secretly loved, gets killed off screen during the war. Yeah, off screen. Like, one chapter she's fighting, next thing we hear she was ambushed by a savage group of villains and found dead. I had to rewind the chapters by flipping back pages because, excuse me? It was so rushed. And what makes it worse is the contrast. Horikoshi builds entire emotional arcs around fake-out deaths like Bakugo, who literally had his heart stop and gets a full chapter worth of mourning, or Gran Torino, who's brutally impaled, or Hawks, who's burnt and bloodied but lives. Even Endeavor and Mirko have had multiple near-death moments, and each had intense build-up and emotional weight, but all these characters live. Midnight, who's also a fan favorite by the way, dies off-panel. And finally, at curse number 13, it's Piccolo's death in Dragon Ball Super. Piccolo's been sacrificing himself for Gohan since before you and I were born, but this wasn't even dramatic. Frieza shows up, does his usual flexing and trash talk, and Piccolo throws himself in front of a death beam to save Gohan. Again, of course, this is Dragon Ball and nobody really stays dead unless the plot says so. But why is it always the same sequence of events with Piccolo sacrificing himself and Gohan locking in? Plus, this time it doesn't even lead to Gohan locking in. They recycled the same Piccolo sacrifice trope in the superhero movie too, but at least he doesn't actually die in that one. We need a Namekian civil rights movement now. Anyways, what do you think? Did I miss any other painfully pointless anime deaths that you have a personal problem with? Drop your pics below.